Okay, hi everyone. Welcome back to the Atmosphere Cafeteria. I was sitting here and talking to Spirit, and there's this thing I always say, and we're going to go into politics here. How can I say this? Being told to just say it the way it needs to be said. I didn't even get out to a kitchen to set up to anything because this just is here. When it comes to what is going on politically in the world, and this is coming from Yeshua himself, when it comes to what is going on politically in the world, he says this is a lot like what happened around him politically at the time. Because we were talking about how Christians fear God and they fear Jesus and they fear Yeshua and they fear everything to the point that they're screaming at this white wall. And I said to Yeshua, I said, I always see this fear, this white Christian nationalism, this Christian cult, and it is exactly what it is. You just have to look that up. I'm sorry, it is. I'm a Roman Catholic, and I know people who call themselves Christian who are not like this. So at some point, we all have to sit here and realize what it is. And I'm sorry to say that, but I'm being told that this is important, that everyone understands this. It seems like there's a lack of this understanding, but yet, not a lack of this understanding, but a taking hold of this understanding. Sorry, the allergies are thick. So basically, what I've always said to people is that it's like, when it comes to hate, when it comes to fear, when it comes to racism, when it comes to someone who's there, it's because it's like they're sitting there, they're staring at a white wall, and every time they try to turn around and see what is actually going on in society, they're terrified and they just turn around. And this is true because they're afraid to actually look at what's going on in modern society, which is why they have to turn and look at the past, because the past is more palatable, the past is more comfortable. They get your parents on nostalgia, they get us all on nostalgia. Wasn't this time period better? Wasn't the 50s better? Was the 50s better? No, absolutely not. The 50s was not a better time. It was a different time. It's a time we can take things from to bring to the future. The good things that we were doing back then, we can bring them forward. The lessons from our grandparents and our parents. But for the, segregation and that kind of stuff, that wasn't okay. The different ways of cooking, great. The segregation, not at all. The lynching, I mean, that's when you say that it was a better time. We all have to remember this, okay? So, and I just heard Jesus say, don't forget, Jesus started a political movement, not a religious movement. Wow. I just felt that all tingling through my body. Jesus started a political movement, not a religious movement. Oh my God, I gotta write that down. I've been writing my cards down. So, and then I write down the symbols that I get. And I got 3 crosses, and then I just got the song 3 Wooden Crosses. 3 wooden crosses. Randy Travis. That is one of the most beautiful songs. Like I say, I'm not the most religious person in the world, but I love I do love my faith. I do love Jesus and Mary, and I love Diana and all of everything, because it's all the same. But what Jesus is saying is like I was saying before, when it comes down to hate, racism, all of that stuff, basically a person is staring at a white wall screaming because they don't want to make that change. They don't want to accept these people. They don't want to accept anything. They didn't want to accept Jesus, so they put him on a cross. And what was Jesus? The Son of God. And who was God at the time? The king, because every king was called God. I mean, the man, by the time he was 33, probably looked a lot like the king who hurt his mother, who Joseph saved from being stoned. And how do we stop doing that stuff? We stand up. We create a political movement instead of a religious movement. And we say, this isn't what Jesus wanted. Jesus wanted you to love thy neighbor as you would love thyself. So if you wouldn't hurt yourself, then that means you wouldn't hurt the next person. Now, that doesn't mean that there doesn't come to a point where we have to fight. But basically, I'm being told to get back on the point. So basically, what's going on, Yeshua says, is I was reviewing this, and then I remembered there's this really wonderful picture I love, and I'm going to make it the picture on here, where it's Jesus walking on the water, and he's looking down, and he's reaching his hand down to help you out of the water, and you're looking up at him. And I was sitting there, and Yeshua says to me, when these people are sitting there, okay? What do I have? I have nothing. Oh, wait. What do I have? I have this. I have a pencil sharpener. When they're sitting here, okay, let's put it like this. When they're sitting there like this, okay? This is the racist. This is the white Christian nationalist. This is the person that hates. This is the person that every single time they turn their blades around to see what's actually going on, they freak out. They become dysregulated, and they turn back around towards the white wall. What I was shown was that at some point, Jesus comes on the white wall, and it showed me the white wall with the picture of Jesus trying to help them out of the water. And that's when, and I was told, they get confused because Jesus is trying to help them out of the water. They get confused because they see Jesus and they see the water. And what Yeshua said to me is, they're not staring at a white wall. They're in the water. I'm trying to help them out of the water. They're not staring at a wall. They're literally in the water with their mouth open, drowning. Because they're screaming. They're not screaming at a white wall. They're drowning. Trying to figure exactly how he put it. I'm trying to remember exactly how he put it. He said, they're not staring at a white wall. They're laying in the water. And I'm trying to help them out. I'm trying to reach my hand through, and they can't take my hand because my hand is hitting a wall, and the wall is the water. And I'm being shown when Jesus did walk on the water. At one point, he did look down, and he saw humanity, and he saw humanity drowning, and he literally tried to put his hand down to help. But the scream was so loud, and they were racing back and forth like, no, don't touch us, don't touch us, don't touch us. And the more his hand went down, the more they backed away until they went into darkness. So he says, they're not staring at a white wall. I'm literally standing there, even in this present moment, on that water. In this point in time, it's like a nexus point in time of quantum physics of the universe, whatever that means. And I'm trying to take their hands. And they just keep opening their mouth and sucking in the water and drowning. And I see Jesus stand up and turn and walk away. And if you've ever been drowned, or you've had your head dunked underwater for any length of time, it hurts. It hurts all the way up into your head. And that's what I'm feeling now. And I'm being told, because, you know, the only rule that anything in this world has, and this isn't just the rule of Jesus, this isn't just the rule of God, this is just the rule of the earth itself, is do unto humanity as you would have done unto you. So if you're not going to do this to you, don't do it to someone else. If you're not going to do it to you, don't do it to another animal. That's basically what it's coming down to, and they need you to know. This is why that hate is. This is why they seem to think Jesus is scary. Because Jesus wants to help them out of the water, and they don't want to be helped out of the water because they're too afraid. They can't even turn around. They can't, I mean, come on. They are laying in water where they can feel their back on the sand. They could sit up anytime they wanted to. The water is barely covering their mouth. I mean, at this point, is Jesus actually standing on water, or is he actually standing in about, 2 feet of water, 1.5 feet of water that they're screaming in? What is going on? And Jesus is just walking away. Not that he doesn't love them. It's just even Jesus is saying there comes a point where even I can't help them, and I have to turn to the people that do need me. And I'm being shown brown people. And I'm being shown white people who are supporters of everyone, and black people who are supporters of everyone, and brown people who are supporters of everyone. He says, you know who needs you most right now. You know where you are in your community who needs you most right now. And you know it won't be any of the hateful people, and it won't be any of the stingy people. And he's saying, go and help them. Go and help them now, because this will make your community stronger. This is what made his community stronger. He says, this is what, when he was laid upon the cross, he says, you see, you have to understand the people that came to see him. These weren't just followers that came to see him. These were whole communities where his life had been beneficial to theirs, where one hand had washed the other. No one had to wash their feet. If you understand that from a biblical reference, and you actually understand that biblical reference, that's very important. It means no one did anything untowards anybody without consent. He said those were congregations of people to see him on that cross. That's why the Roman Catholics put him on the cross in the church like that. That represents us as we bear witness to the travesty done in this man's name. The travesty done to someone who was a helper. Someone who was betrayed. I'm being told, but that's what they like to forget, that Jesus was actually betrayed. And I'm being told that that's the reason why right now, Jesus, aka Yeshua, I go in between the two names, is turning his back now. Wow. He says we all have to learn, and I'm unwilling to help people who would rather put me on a cross and parade me around for their own benefits, to make other people think that they're holy and worshipful and do good. I would rather turn my back and let them drown in a puddle of water. And I do see a very dark side of Jesus here, but it's not dark as in it's not dark as in hate. It's, I can't help you anymore. I have to help the people that need my help. I've tried to help you for as long as I can, and rather than being helpful, you have betrayed my trust. He says they have betrayed his trust. And he is turning his back. And he is going to the people that need him. And he reminds us that, although Jesus was the Son of God, and God being the King, when Jesus is reborn, if he should choose to come down again, it will be for the exact same reasons. Now, at the end of the day, what we all have to understand is by the time you become as ascended as Yeshua, it's really hard to take a human form again. It's too much for the human body. So often what happens is there is one person I know of who does this with the goddess Rhiannon, where it's this ascended master or this goddess or god who do want to be reborn, but they and another soul come together to make a plan for that soul to be reborn so that that god or goddess or that ascended master can experience life again. But because their souls are too big, they can't necessarily come into the human body. And I know that doesn't make any sense, and that's okay, it doesn't have to. But those who understand that will understand exactly what I'm saying. If you don't understand that, that's perfectly fine. Eventually you may, or you may not, or you may say it to someone who will be able to explain it in a different way to you. But he is saying that when this happens again, I want to say that. Don't be surprised if they're Mexican. Don't be surprised if they're brown. Don't be surprised if they're from the Americas. Don't be surprised if they've already been born. And remember, the devil doesn't actually care about this. So whoever said so-and-so is the devil, he's not the devil. He's just a narcissist. And they're all narcissists. It sucks. Ugh, I feel the push of Jesus going, yeah, ugh, I had them in my day too. Who do you think took over Jerusalem? Why do you think the king wanted to stone a 12, 13-year-old girl? Because he couldn't have any other heirs. Especially heirs that wanted to start a political movement and not a religious movement. Right? And Jesus started a political movement, not a religious movement. So that is my message for you. If you are, and I'm being given this directly now, if you are worried about your loved one, that is what's going on. If you have a very highly overly religious person who is Christian, I'm directly being told to say Christian because he doesn't feel that this is the same in other religions. Because as we all know, something about Chewbacca. I don't know what that is, but I see a Chewbacca. Maybe somebody has a Chewbacca dog. What does it say? But he's saying Christian, evangelical. You know what I'm talking about. Because if you're Roman Catholic, you know other Christians who think the same exact way that you do, just a little bit differently. These are not those friends. Because those friends are allies. Those friends are LGBTQ plus people. Those people can learn, but these people are very stuck in fear, and they like fear. And that's why Jesus is turning away. He's like, I have for this long tried so hard, and I'm unwilling to do it any longer. If they want to drown in the water, then I'm going to turn around and go either back to shore or go over to the ship that I needed to go into to save, and then go back to shore with those people in the ship. He is not willing to do it anymore. He's not going to ride over them in the ship that he's saving, but he's also not going to help them out of the water any longer. And he says one of the reasons why they're getting more hysterical now is because they feel him leaving them. And they have been feeling this for the last 30 years, 30 years. That Jesus has gotten tired of this. And Jesus as a spirit is saying, no more. I'm unwilling to do this. You're doing to me, you're doing to everybody else what was done to me. I keep telling you, I keep telling you, I keep telling you. You keep putting people on crosses, and you keep putting people on crosses, and you keep hurting them. When you hurt those people, you're hurting me. Yeah. When you hurt those people, you're hurting me. That's what Jesus has to say about that. Being told to shuffle my cards. Excuse me. Someone needs to get that out. Someone's been feeling this for a while. I just keep being told Jesus started a political movement and not a religious movement. The edge of evolution feels messy. You are going to get to know each other, but through discovery of yourself. No is a full sentence, is a full answer, does not mean yes. Basically, what I'm being told is that there's going to be a new evolution, and the new evolution is always going to be messy. And yes, this is going to combine spirituality for people that want it and non-spirituality for people who don't want it. Because we all know people who don't have religion behind them can be the most kindest and compassionate people we have all ever met. I'm literally being told, do not hate atheists. I'm literally being told that loving thyself as thy neighbor means as well, if your neighbor is atheist and you are Christian, you love them equally, and you don't try to convert them, and you don't try to change them, and you don't try to lessen them because they don't have the same God you have. I am directly being told that. But there's going to be a change, and as this card says, the edge of evolution is messy. And I also have a blue butterfly, the blue butterfly emoji. If that means anything to any, yeah, because butterflies go into a cocoon, go into a cat, and go from a caterpillar. We're basically in the caterpillar phase right now. We're going into a cocoon. And this is going to be messy because going into the cocoon is messy. And going into this cocoon, you're going to get you are going to get to know yourself through yourself, but you're going to get to know the person next to you by getting to know yourself. Because once you know who you are, you understand how to treat someone else, and you understand how to say no. You understand that no is a full sentence, and you know how to go and stand up for this other person and say no for them if they don't know how to say no for themselves. Because we have to remember, everybody is at a different stage. Not everybody can say no. Sometimes you need someone to stand up for you and say, they don't want to do this. Well, how do you know? Do you want to do this? And then the person is standing there terrified. No, they don't want to do this, do they? Because we always know when people don't want to do something. We always know when someone's being pressured. And once this has happened, it will be like you came out of the womb of the universe a completely different person. Jesus is saying this is that voyage of self-discovery that these people won't take, that he's turning from. You are all taking this voyage of self-discovery. You all are seeing this voyage, this evolution. You're seeing how it's messy, but it's a necessity in order for us to have the best life that we need, the best life you need, the need for your kids. I'm seeing a child with Down syndrome. We all know that we have friends that have children with special needs. We all know people who have elderly people with special needs. We all know the people who need the help. And the point is that these people are going to need help a little bit more, and they're going to be a little bit more afraid. And it won't just be, it's going to be everyone. And that's what makes the evolution scary. That's, wow, love always changes. That's what makes the evolution scary, but that's also what helps you to get to know yourself and to know others, because love always changes. Love has to change. Love can't stay the same. You know, you love your child when they're a baby, but if you love your child when they're a baby the same way they are when they're 15, you're loving a baby. Does that make sense? That love has to grow, and you have to see how your child changes so that when they're 15, you're not bottle feeding them. Not that anybody would ever do that. Although I do know someone who wouldn't let their child get scrapes and cuts and bruises. And it was like, wouldn't let them play. Controlling much? Oh, I do hope that they're better, though. I do send them blessings, and I hope that they're better. But that's a fear thing, too, when you don't want your children to get hurt. That's a fear thing, too. And even in that, I'm being shown the cocoon of the caterpillar, where you do have to, at some point, step back and cocoon yourself and go, okay, I need to let my... Actually, what they're saying, it's like, no, at some point, the caterpillar needs to destroy the cocoon and just be a caterpillar for a little longer, because they, you know, that's... It almost feels like they're trying to say, no, they need to leave and go backwards, but the problem is that they don't want to go backwards and leave, because it ends up being like this circle. But love has to change. Love has to change. How we love people has to change. One of the things that Yeshua said, too, might have been in the conversation of it, is that at some point, people are just going to have to sit there and be unhappy that they can't hate people. They're just gonna have to sit there and deal with it, because as humans, we are embracing both the dog and the cat. As a human, embrace both the dog and the cat. What that means is, as the human, we tend to be greedy like the ape. And by that, what I mean is, there's an ape study, and basically the ape study says that apes have to go out and forage and bring food back and eat on their way out and eat on their way in, because if you provide all the food that's needed for the day, the ape in charge will just take all the food and everybody else will starve. When you embrace the dog, you learn kindness, you learn compassion, you learn how to be trusting, but you can be too trusting. So you must embrace the cat, because the cat knows how to be suspicious. The cat knows how to look at someone up and down and go, I don't think so, buddy. But the cat also can be too much. So the cat has to balance themselves with the kindness of the dog, and the dog has to understand that at some point it can't trust everybody, but the cat can't not trust everybody. So when the ape as a human embraces both the cat and the dog, we put down our greed and we put down our hate, and we see the balance of what is in front of us. We see the people who we need to be suspicious of, and we see the people who everybody else would be suspicious of, and we were like, oh yeah, you're cool. How are you? Let's be friendos, you know? So this is wow. I hope this makes sense. I have never done one of these before. Yeah, this one just came up. This is funny. So yeah, when we don't do this, yeah, this kind of describes don't be thirsty and drink from every glass. If you embrace only the ape side of yourself, you drink from every glass. You just take everything that belongs to everybody else. You don't want them to have anything. You don't want them to have joy. You don't want them to have happiness, because they don't have joy and they don't have happiness, and they only have joy and happiness when something else is being hurt. Because the rest of the time when they're going, yeah, it wasn't a great time, but it was all right, because they don't let themselves have happiness. Because their mouth is covered by 2 inches of water, and they won't take the hand to help them up out of their fear, because they think they're drowning in an ocean. But yet they also can't recognize that there's sand on their back, and all they have to do is sit up out of the water and breathe. They're going to cry, they're going to be scared, and they're going to be terrified, because they thought the water was deeper, and they slipped and they fell and they got scared. I just felt something on my arm. And like my grandma with me one time, I live on a lake, and I live on a very deep bay. My lake looks like an ocean, and I'm on Lake Ontario. And she once said to me something about rocks slipping in undertow. I can't quite remember what it was, but I was terrified. So when I did slip, the 30-foot drop off. She's like, don't go down the 30-foot drop off, the 20-foot drop off. So when I slipped on the rocks, thank you, Grandma. So when I slipped on the rocks, I thought I'd gone down the 20-foot drop off, which was like 100 feet out. I was never going to get to the 20-foot drop off, okay? But I didn't know what a 20-foot drop-off was. I had no idea. I just slipped. My foot went in between some rocks, and the waves went over me. And I got scared. But I got out of the water, and I realized that this was not where the 20-foot drop-off was, that this was just some rocks. And I'm able to be on those rocks because those rocks are safe. And would I go out on Lake Ontario on anything? No, that's stupid. Would I go swimming in Lake Ontario if I could swim in a lake or an ocean? Sure, if I could swim in an ocean, but I can't. I'm not proficient enough at swimming. But I got out of the water. I didn't let that fear of the 20-foot drop off rule me. I was scared, and I got out, and I was still scared, and to this day, I'm still scared. But it's a respectable scared, because I should respect the lake that is out there and know enough not to go out there and act like a fool, act like an idiot. Don't go on the icebergs on Lake Ontario, people. Don't just take a canoe out there. My God, don't do that shit, man. But yeah, don't be so thirsty that you drink from everyone's cup, drink from every glass. I mean, your people refuse to get out of the water. They refuse to sit up. They refuse to get the help because they're in fear. And this fear is long ingrained. And it's not just fear that was done by your parents or your grandparents or their parents. This is fear that has been a line of fear, and then religion got mixed up in it. And that religion created more fear. And then politics. Politics got, I hate to say this, a little cultish. And that just made the fear stronger. Because the more, think about it this way, when you have a child and they're scared of a thunderstorm, the more you're calm, the more we talk through that thunderstorm, the more they're scared. You know, they're still scared, but they're a little calmer now, and maybe they're feeling the same air you are, and maybe they're hearing the same things that you are, and maybe we're both now getting excited to listen for when the next thunderstorm is going to be, even though it scares us, right? But what if when your child is scared of a thunderstorm, you, trigger warning, sit there and say, what do you have to be scared about? You're fine. What if when they're afraid of a thunderstorm, we look at them and go, oh, you should be afraid. It's going to scare everything and it's going to take the house down. Which words do you think create a better 15-year-old? The abusive words of what are you afraid of, or yeah, it's going to really come and crash the house down, you should be afraid. Or the human who is going to, and I'm saying 15-year-olds because we all know 15-year-olds, God love them, God bless them, but they're young. By the way, we don't actually mean you're stupid when we say that. We just mean you're very young and you don't have as much information as we do. And it's not always even having as much information, it's understanding the information for a longer, broader period of time, which is something else people like to avoid to do as well. But which one is going to raise that 15-year-old up? You know, all of this fear, or the parent that says, yeah, this is really, really scary. Your feelings and emotions are valid. Let's look at where thunderstorms come from. Let's look at the atmosphere. Let's talk about this when it happens. Let's look at the weather map on our phone now and see when these things are happening and prepare for them so that your child feels more comforted. Which 15-year-old do you think is going to be the bully? The 15-year-old in fear who has to come and hurt other people because they're screaming at a white wall and drowning in the water? Or the 15-year-old who understands where fear comes from? Which one do you think? We can either build people up or we can bury them. And it's not just building up children, it's also building up adults, because any child who is 15 years old who has had that kind of parentage, say this 15-year-old had that kind of parentage and now they've been taken out of the home. You're the parent who has helped their child through a thunderstorm. And now there's going to be a real big boom bash going on. And you're the foster parent here, and you've got two 15-year-olds. You have a 15-year-old that's not afraid, and now you found out this one is terrified because he's getting angry. And you have to step back and go, wait, bud, what's going on? Why are you angry? And you find out it's because he's in fear because of this thunderstorm. How do you help him? You can either give him your hand and he can take your hand and help feel comfort, or he can walk away into a corner and start screaming. And that's what these people have been doing. They've been walking into the corner and they just sit down and scream because the person with their hand out to help them, they don't recognize that as a good hand, I'm being told. It's like the dog who thinks every human is going to hurt them, so they bite them, even when they have something that they want. It makes people kind of feral. That was heavy. That moment moment when you're channeling and it's like, oh yeah, now it's like, oh, what did I just say? But because everything kind of goes clear. Yeah, everything kind of goes clear for a second. But yeah, I mean, which one is going to be better? Because if you've got that 15-year-old in your house and you're a foster parent, and you start to notice this, you can help this 15-year-old. Either that 15-year-old is going to sit there, or you're going to notice, see the signs and whatever, and realize, okay, it's thundering and lightning. He's terrified. We got to tackle this a different way. How do we do this? How do we, help this 15-year-old voice his fears so that we can help him? I mean, my friend, she was terrified of thunderstorms, and when her kids were little, she had to be the brave one. And so every time there would be a thunderstorm, I would just send her a message, hey, how you doing? And be like, oh my God, this is horrible. I'm trying to be brave for the kids, but this is horrible. They're having fun. They're a little scared. We're all doing okay. By the time the kids were teenagers, I would send her a message and go, hey, you doing okay in the storm? She'd be like, yeah, I'm fine. I'm not afraid anymore. Because she needed to be brave for her children, and someone took the time to see her fear. You see how that works? So these people they never get out of their fear, and every time someone tries to help them, they just push the hand away. I mean, how long has Jesus had his hand out? And he's not, look, oh wow, that was something, wow, oh wow. How long has Jesus had his hand out, and how long have they been just putting tithes in there? And Jesus is like, no. I don't want your money. Why do you keep lifting this wet money out of the water and putting it in my hand? I'm just throwing it over in the other part of the water. What are you doing? I'm trying to take your hand to help you out. But every time I take your hand to try to help you out, money slips from it and your grasp slips from me. And Jesus just throws the money away because he doesn't want it. He doesn't want that money. He doesn't, that money isn't good money. That's not good money. He wants to try to slide under that money and grab that human to bring them up out of that water because he wants them to be able to breathe. He wants them to be able to breathe. I keep seeing like a blonde man, blue eyes, strawberry blonde even. Rising. What I keep seeing is a blonde-haired, blue-eyed man who may or may not have had strawberry blonde hair when he was younger. And I see him rising out of the water. And I see him rising out of the water because when Jesus put down his hand, at some point this man closed his mouth to stop breathing in the water, and he let the oxygen bubble from his nose so he could still breathe. And then he took Jesus's hand, and Jesus helped him rise out of the water. And when he saw Jesus, he understood that everything that he had ever seen was a lie, and that everything that he was seeing now was the truth. It didn't mean he had to be Christian, didn't mean he had to be religious. He just understood the point of Jesus. And he understood the point of Jesus' kindness. And then Jesus shows me how he helped lift him more out of the water so that he could walk within the sand of the water, because the sand of the water can be kind of squishy and it can be hard to keep your balance at first as you're going. But Jesus is showing me that as he was taking this man's arm, there was a golden boat coming next to him. And it was this golden boat and Jesus. I see like a Viking vessel for some reason. It almost reminds me of golden Oreo, the golden Oreo color, which is silly, I know, but that's like the color of the sun coming in. And it was the Voyage of the Dawn Treader. That's funny. But it's like he was helping this man walk in this sand. The words, when you see those footprints behind you, that is where I carried you. And this is where the two of them walked side by side. I'm getting chills as I'm saying this, while Jesus held his arm and just helped keep him steady so he could see the truth in front of him. And that's when he and Jesus talked as they walked. And this man's talking about all of his misgivings and unknowings and how it all just seems to make sense. He doesn't need to take Jesus as his God because he understands what God is. But he understands that back there laying in the water, if I personally turn around and see it, there's just this black hole there. Kind of like there's ice and then like a black hole, like something caved down in, but something came up out of that. It's almost like being frozen in the ice. But you know, one of the things I've always said is that, you know, when people are frozen, they will defrost. That's interesting too. But yeah. And eventually this man will get on the ship. But he walks with Jesus and he walks into the sunlight with Jesus. And Jesus helps him see the sun because Jesus is always by you. You don't have to Jesus is always by you because Jesus is within you. Jesus is always within your heart. That's why when they say you walk with Jesus because you always keep that piece of Jesus in your heart. It's a lot like that poem, I carry your heart, I carry it in your heart. I carry your heart, I carry it in my heart. You carry the words and the kindness of Jesus in your heart. And it is ingrained in your heart. The same way that this hate is ingrained in someone else's. Doesn't mean that hate, you know, that people can't go from being a good person, having something really bad happening to them, and then just shutting down. And wow, yeah, love is like a butterfly, but sometimes if you're hurt enough, love will get messy, and you'll get confused, and you might get drunk like the dancing white butterflies. You know, the white butterflies that always, when they fly around like this. It's because where they make their cocoons, I believe it's on milkweed, but don't take me as positive on that. But they get drunk as caterpillars. They build their cocoon in a way where they get drunk while in their cocoon, and when they come out, they're just drunk little butterflies. You know, I mean, yeah. Can be messy. But then this one's on the bottom. I'm not even being mean. I'm just not actively making you feel comfortable. And that's kind of like what it's really coming down to. Is that, yeah, Jesus isn't being mean. He's just not making you feel actively comfortable. Just listening. I just thought I heard footsteps. And I just got the song Age of Aquarius. Walking into a new evolution. Because that's exactly what this is. This is a new evolution. And it's just a new evolution in general. Okay? So I hope this made sense to the person that needed to hear this, or the people that needed to hear this. This isn't a lost cause if this is your human right here. Look up gaslighting, look up narcissism, look up Dr. Romney. To be able to help you a lot if you have like a parent or someone like that who you need to help facilitate out of this. But when you look at everybody else, this is what's going on. When they're not your family and you don't know them and you don't understand, this is what's going on. Because you know your family member wasn't like this before. And I'm talking about, you know, your dad voted for Obama and now he voted for someone else. That is not who they are. Jesus has not given up on them because Jesus knows that this kind of hate isn't truly in their heart. But Jesus needs you to help them too in whatever way you can. And remember, helping them doesn't mean actually physically giving them help. Sometimes helping actually means walking away. Wow. Yeah. Yeah, like Jesus just did to the ones that it's ingrained in. And yeah, I won't go on about that, but yeah. Yeah, you know you're human and you understand who you are. And you understand your situation, I'm being told. It's a lot of information coming in at one time. And that just turned that. You know, that turned that and then the pen. So it makes me almost wonder, for those of you who when it doesn't come, because there are going to be some people that left white Christian nationalist homes. You can't necessarily change those people. That's very ingrained. And the people, I feel like I'm being told the people you can change will turn away from the white wall and look at you. Now purple, wow, purple. It's purple, it's a purple pen, purple. Red and blue. They will look at you. And they will try to be more independent in their thinking. They will listen to you. They still may turn towards the white wall because they're afraid, but I feel like they will turn and stare. Another thing to remember is that when your person starts to stare at you and ask questions, they're not going to ask them normal. They're not going to sound like normal questions. It's going to sound like anger and rage, and you have to be the person to realize this anger and rage sounds differently. This is an anger and rage that's asking a question out of fear because they're afraid, and not one that's screaming at you to try to plow you over to make you believe what they believe. The people like this, who can't see any of this, they're going to plow you over with their screams and their yells until you go, fine, we'll agree to disagree. We can have two opinions. But when they start to turn and stare at you, they can't do that anymore. Because they're seeing that this isn't the only opinion and that you make sense. Does that make sense? It's not what you see and hear, it's what you say and do. That one goes there. That. The space between where you smile and hide is where you'll find me if I get to go. So someone here that I'm talking to has really, really lost a family member to this. If you go over to my other channel with the dogs, there's a whole explanation on there about how your parents were gaslit with nostalgia. You get to watch the dogs be silly, and, well, they're not being silly. I think Doug is like sleeping and Ernie's walking around in that video. But I explained that to because I got pissed off, and I had just nobody ever just, I don't know. There are lots of little bits of things that are going around, right? There are lots of little bits and pieces and mechanisms and cogs and wires of everything that is moving around in the machinery right now of the world. I swear to God, I just thought the air conditioner was going to come on. That's the strangest thing. And a lot of things want to distract you from that realization that there are so many little things. Like when you hear a dictator talk, they're not talking to just one group of people. They're talking to this group of people, 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 and these people here in the center who are all into the conspiracies. He's got some real strange shit going in there for them. Anytime you see a dictator look like they're falling or they're hurt, they're playing it up. This is you know how your 3-year-old plays it up. Oh my God, Linda, oh Linda, it hurts. Yes, I am Mexican. My father's mother, my abuela, she is one of my spirit guides, and she is funny. She likes the Olinda kid. Olinda. She likes all the Mexican music too. She always puts it on my whenever I have my music on, it randomly comes on. No, I don't mind it. I'm just saying it's just always a surprise. So you whoever I'm talking to, you have had a family member really, really hurt by this, and they may be starting to defrost. And I'm also being told that these might be things that you're saying to them too. You know, you're trying to get their attention away from the wall so you can say to them, it's not what you see and hear, it's what you say and do. So that you can tell them, listen, I'm still there hiding in the spaces where I was in all of those past memories, because your people have forgotten their past memories. They've forgotten their good times because they've been in war for 10 years. I mean, just this one alone, the space between where you smile and hide is where you'll find me if I get to go. That's the song Space Between Me by Dave Matthews. Give a listen to that song. The lyrics are very important. I work a lot with lyrics. Wow. The safe space is meeting their safe space. The safe space is meeting their safe space. So basically what that means is this person needs a safe space, and they're meeting the person that is their safe space. You're their safe space. You're their safe space. So whoever it is that's going to, I don't know if this is a parent or a friend or whatever. I'm actually kind of feeling like it can be, like initially, yes, on the outside we say a friend, a parent, or whatever, but I actually feel like this is going to be something a little bit more internal. Okay, so we were talking about the 15-year-olds, you know, in foster care and whatnot. And at some point, when that foster parent realizes that that abused child is terrified of thunderstorms, they have to figure out how to get that child to meet their safe space with their safe space. And the safe space is the foster parent, right? So to me, I'm being, you know, there's the directed a few different ways, but in one way that I'm really, really being directed is, yes, this is going to be an out on the outside. Yes, we're talking about parents, kids, yada, 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 aunts, uncles, cousins. But I feel like someone that you know someone who you know, who knows you, and that you're not someone who knows you and knows how you are and who you are not like. I feel like I almost have to say this coded. So this person may come up with a coded message for you. Wow, that really, really made me talk stronger. Like this person might have more of a forceful voice like this. Or maybe something might be said like this, which is more of a code of, hey, the space between where your smiling hides. You know, you're right. It's not what you see and hear. It is what you say and do. And like I've got this huge like pull. I feel like someone may see you as a safe space where they can go and say stuff to you and tell you things. And okay, we got to slow down a little bit. Because there's Yeshua and there's also another spirit here. And I do believe it's Yeshua bringing through the spirit. Because I do believe this is a living spirit. Or a living energy. I can, yeah, it doesn't matter if you're dead or alive, I can still sense you. I'm sorry. So where I live, we have a nuke plant. And our nuke plants, we kind of know the people that work there. Nothing bad. They're wonderful, lovely people. But politically, we all understand where the majority of them lie. And none of them will ever come out and say they don't politically align that way. They don't have the ability to do that. Things may have changed in the past in the past 10 years, but it used to seem like nobody really cared what political party you were with, and now that's the only thing they care about. So that's something big. And I'm giving the nuke plant as an example because it's such a big place. It has so many people in it, and people do tend to have one frame of mind. Not all of them, obviously, but when you're in that kind of situation, sometimes you can't say where you are politically aligned. I feel like this person is going to come up to you. You understand where they're politically aligned, but you also know they're not a horrible person, just like they know you're not a horrible person. I don't know why I had to say all of that preamble to get all of this out. I feel like they're going to come up to you needing to be out of wherever they are. So by that, what I mean is I feel like wow, like all of a sudden like the underside of my leg is like freezing, and I don't know why. It's not because of how I'm laying. With that I know. So maybe this will be more in winter. Who's to say? Either way, I feel like things are trying to distract me from getting this out. Either way, this person's going to come up to you and basically give you a code. And it's going to seem kind of odd. You're going to be like, you don't talk to me like the rest of them usually do. And you're going to carry in and on with that because that's what you do. That's how you know how to do that. And sometimes you got to bullshit, right? Especially when you're working someplace where you like your job, but you know, sometimes you gotta bullshit. This person is coming up to the purple pen. They're coming up to the neutral person. You might be an independent, you might be whatever, you might be a Republican. I don't know what you are. All I know is you are a safe space for this person, and they're going to go to their safe space. You're their safe space. Their safe space is meeting their safe space. Hi, baby. So he's going to meet. Hi, honey, Ernie. You all right? You're not in trouble. Hi, baby. Come here. You're not in trouble. What happened? What happened, you guys? Ernie, come here. Come here, baby. You either get up or down, but Ernie, come here. You're not in trouble, honey. Come here. I put your blankie down. Come on. I just turned around and Ernie just looked like he was in trouble, and he's not. He's not in trouble. He's not in trouble. But basically what I'm being told is that this person is going to come in and they're basically going to look at you and say, I don't like this anymore. This isn't normal. This is what I've got. This is the information I've got. And this is what's going on, and I don't know how to handle this. Okay, I would like to stop being distracted now. I love you guys, but there have been so many micro distractions from allowing me to get my message through that I understand exactly what is going on. Because I have had a cold spot under my leg. I have heard the air conditioner try to come on twice and it's not even on. I have had little things try to distract me, and I'm not doing it anymore. I love you guys to pieces, but I also know when negative spirits are trying to distract me. And I know all my Claires out there will completely and totally understand what I'm trying to say to you, because this has been an hour and 5 minutes. And I know I spent 20 minutes trying to get this through. And every single time, something makes me go squirrel. So, having said that, wherever you work, your people who you know you cannot be the person you are around them, whether you are, and I'm just going to say a Democrat or an independent, you know you can't be around them because we all know what's going on. And the buck stops here. What was one of them? No is a full sentence. These people are defrosting and waking up. That was one of the points of showing me this person, who I actually think I know who this person is. They look really good in pink, by the way. I really also like the yellow. Anyway. See, I can distract myself enough. I'm being shown how that person came defrosted and Jesus helped them out of the water. And he laid next to the ship. He walked next to the ship, in between the ship and Jesus. I feel like the ship is actually that person's soul. Because when I see this man and Jesus walk through the water, I see the water up to their waist. So I do believe that ship is this man's soul, and Jesus is helping him through so that his whole soul can heal. Okay? This person that's coming up to you, they're kind of going through the same thing, but there's someone that Jesus has turned away from, because Jesus doesn't turn on people. Jesus turns away because he can't help you anymore. And this is someone that you've been saying, it's not what you see and hear, it's what you say and do. This is someone that understands the spaces between. This might, the space between where your smile and hide is where you'll find me if I get to go. Okay, so this person is going to come. I feel like this person is going to come to you because you're a safe space. You're a safe space that keeps telling them, this isn't what's going on. This isn't true. This is what the truth is. And they keep denying it, and you keep going, that we all know the people that are like that. But this is somebody that you work with. This is somebody who you don't have to be friends with, but you do sit at the same table. You do sit there and see each other. And when you do, you talk like this. Maybe he's a jackass, but maybe he's less of a jackass than the others. He is going to come to you because you are his safe space. And he is going to meet his safe space because he has got... I feel there is something troubling this person, because it's something where before they would have gone, you know what, this is crazy, this is stupid, no. And now, between you dysregulating them and them remembering that this shit is crazy, I feel like they know something. Like I hear an echo now, and whenever I hear an echo like that, it's a very big vein of the truth. that I'm getting from that person. They know something, and they're going to come to you. And city just went quiet. Yeah, they're going to come to you because you are the safe space. Now, you may be the safe space for a couple of reasons. You, either A, you are the safe space where they can get good information and defrost, or you are the safe space where they can look at you and say, listen, I've been part of these groups. These are the things I'm reading and going on, and I don't know how to handle this. You may be that person that knows how to handle this, and you might be able to look at them and go, oh, wow, you know, my cousin, ... CIA, and they're going to understand that and know that, which is why they're coming to you. They're not fooling you. They're not fucking with you. They literally have gone in flux to a point where they recognize everything is not okay, and they're remembering how they wouldn't have liked this 20 years ago. They're going to come to meet their safe space because you're their safe space. And you should be prepared for this. Now, things like this I say, this is June. We're in June of 2025. I would say give this 6 months, but I'm thinking within 3. Because people can change their minds. I'm being told this is not a mind changer. This is not a thinking in the ethers and it's just going to disappear. This is we are heavily thinking of contacting you because something is wrong. And they can't necessarily go to like upper management with this. It's one of those things that employees take care of on their own, but not the kind of thing you take care of on your own where there's another employee that's causing issues. It's not that. This isn't another employee. This is literally, we're talking someone's getting knocked over by chat groups. This is, I keep feeling like I hear things knocking. Knocking on wood a lot. But I feel like that whoever this person is they're coming to you with different information. They're coming to you with information that is stuff that other people don't usually have. And if they do this, you should definitely listen, take it under wraps. Jesus didn't fight a culture war. Jesus was the culture war. What the heck is with that? I got a headache. A little headache starting. But, Jesus didn't start a culture war. He was the culture war. Telling you, when they geez Louise. But that's what I'm being shown. Somebody is going to come up to you with information that is, I don't understand why you would be getting this information unless you are a journalist. Because I gave the nuke plant example because it's a very large place with very various people, but we understand everything that's going on. Well, when you live by them, you get it. You understand a lot more. Because people come up and down from everywhere. There's influences from everywhere there. But it feels like this is going to be someplace big like that. I don't understand this. How am I supposed to get... I can do that. Okay, I could go get cards. I'll be right back. Oh, lady. Whoops, squeaky toy. Squeaky toy, squeaky toy. I do feel like it's you, to be very honest with you. Okay, so... the reason, the reason why I give the nuke plant example too is because a lot of times the people that work there, they do have the nice houses, they do have the nice things. They are, I'm not gonna say they're shishi, but it's just a better paying job. You can have all the things that you want. And yes, God, please send your guidance and your wisdom, lend. So, yeah, because the nuke plant is so big and vast, it has a lot of different worlds in it, has a lot of different things in it, but this person is a secret keeper. Person who Spirit, do you have anything to add? Nine of Swords. So, I don't know who this purple pen person is, okay? You're going to have someone come to you. I almost want to say that I say nuke plant because where I live, the nuke plant is very important. If you work at a nuke plant, you're important. You need to know your shit. I feel like someone is going to go to somebody in I don't think this is a nuke plant. Because this person has information. They're in their Nine of Swords, and I'm being told they sit in their bed every night and think about this. They wake up every morning and they sit in bed and they think about this. They think about these 9 things they know, these 9 swords. They think about these things over their head. See how the swords are over their head? I mean, she sees what's in front of her because she has the 2 swords going through her. But of course, the 2 of Swords is always blindfolded, right? But this 2 of Swords, this 2 of Swords can see and is sitting in her 9 of Swords because this person knows. This person knows they have to get out of bed. They know it's time to wake up, and they know it's time to tell. They know it's time to tell. Glasses. Yeah. Yeah. because they've had sudden awareness to everything around them. They've suddenly become aware. See, what happens when you're getting on gaslit, or any time that you're trying to come to terms with a trauma that happened, is there's this point of influx, I always say, where you're over here and you know, and da 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 da, but then the reality of what it is here, and they have to kind of come in, and they have to come together, and two bubbles have to merge together, like the finger steeples, right? Like the finger steeples. And when that starts to happen, that makes people kind of jump in and out of flux. It can very easily make someone go backwards, turn their head, and re-look at the white wall and freeze and scream. But that's not what this person is doing. It's slow moving. It's slow moving with the Chariot reversed. But it's there. And they're coming towards you with it. Usually this card would be leaving something behind. But for me, I feel like this is, they're sitting in their Nine of Swords. They're really, really racking themselves over this. Like, how can I do this? How can I betray? How can I do this? How can I do this? The problem is that on the other side, there's also this extreme knowledge of betraying your country. But how can I betray my party? So there's this real extreme going between one of the two, which tips them upside down into a odd bubble of slow-moving self-awareness. But when they get there, they walk away from all 8 cups. They walk away from all 8 cups with just one sword. 9 of Swords, yep. With just one sword. And that's where they're coming to you. They're taking their sword, they're putting it in the ground to not only sharpen it, but to make sure they have defense and make sure that they can get up over the rocky hills. Because they're going to use this as a wand until they can get a wand. And that's what they're doing. They're coming towards you to give you this fuck. Remember how I said that there's 8 cups here and they're leaving this behind and taking only one sword with them? The one sword that rules them all. That's what they're doing, and they are falling headlong into the Fool. So oh, God, they really are, and they're knowingly releasing their burdens. Wow, to become the Queen of Swords. And they're really hoping that this is going to help to lay some swords down. Actually, it was after the Ace of Swords, which absolutely just shocked me. This is going to release a lot of burdens, and this is going to... yeah, because just walking away will put that person into the Fool, makes them drop off the cliff, but they've got their sword there that they kept from their 9 swords, because this is the one sword of knowing that they have to remember. Because although they can lay down their burdens, they have to remember that this is a burden, because they need other people to lay down their swords now. They need other people to sit down and be quiet so they can be the queen. We're not talking about going into the almighty masculine. We're talking about going into the almighty feminine, because we're not using gender as anything right now. So this person is going to come in. They're going to tell you something, and I don't know how you're going to take action or what you're going to do. I feel like you might be somebody that knows someone. Wands, Queen of Wands. What did I say? That person was going to use their sword to get up that hill until they could find a wand, and they're going to find a Queen of Wands. So yes, you're going to be the person that Wow. Yeah, because you've got an earth sign and an air sign here. So you're the kind of person where, yes, you're up in the air and you know all this, but you also can be down to the ground and realistic. And that's exactly what they need, because these 10 burdens have been a lot. You know, we've gone from 10 burdens to 9 swords and to, 8 cups down to 1 sword. So a lot of emotional learning and growth and grounding that this person is going to do, because you're their trusted person. You're their trusted person. What did I say here? The safe space is meeting their safe space. The safe space is meeting their safe space. So for me, I take that as meaning this person is meeting their safe space. You are this person's safe space. And in that, they're meeting their safe space. The safe space they will meet the safe space within themselves. I don't know if that makes sense. King of Wands, we've got a pair. I do feel like I'm talking to a masculine. Yeah, I've got the 3 of coins. And I love how I can't read without glasses. Yeah. Because this is going to be teamwork that brings a, yeah, that's about right. Wow. Okay, so, wow. Whatever it is. Okay, so whatever this is, whoever you guys are, your teamwork together, I feel like it's going to change the world. It's going to bring fortune. It's going to bring the 4 of Wands, which is basically, usually it would mean marriage, but in this, it's celebration, joy, and success, okay? Because you're doing this, because you're learning how to temper and change, which brings celebration, which makes you the emperor. Okay? So whatever this is, whoever is coming to you for this, this is something that could change the world. Something that can change lives. The space between where you smile and hide is where you'll find me if I get to go. And this person is hoping that they will get to go. They're hoping and they're praying that when they sit and talk to you about this, that you will have an open, level-headed mind. They just want you to hear them out. They don't want you to judge. They just want you to listen. They don't want you to ask too many questions. They just need you to hear what they have to say. And then after that, go from there and formulate the plan and see how it needs to be constructed. To have strength. My cards are like, you could keep going forever and ever and ever, and I'm just going to get the same thing. So I'm going to leave it here because I don't think I need to go on more. Whoever you are, you'll know what you're supposed to do, and you'll understand this. because I don't completely understand it. Anyway, as Yeshua was saying, Jesus started a political movement, not a religious movement. So, yeah, I guess we'll leave it here. As always, be good, behave, be happy, and be yourself. And remember, good night. God bless you. We love you.